Hello and welcome to another edition of Just a Few, in which I'll take a few minutes to address a question directed to me. My name is Patrick Antwine and I am honored to sit in a position where people can trust my responses to their question. Today's question arises out of a series of responses I gave on the issue of divorce and then divorce and remarriage. Someone in response to my responses had this question: can someone or should someone go the route of divorce and remarriage if their spouse ends up being medically or mentally incapacitated? Let me explain what the person is asking here in case you don't understand. The person wants to know if his or her spouse ends up in a coma or in some other vegetative state or in a mental asylum, something of that nature, and it goes on for weeks and months and even into years, the person is in that condition. Should that be grounds for the person to divorce their spouse in that condition and move on to become remarried so that they can go on with their life? That's an interesting scenario question, and I'm sure it's not something that has never happened before. I'm sure there have been people whose spouses ended up in that situation, whether it's the man or the woman ending up in that situation where they might be in what is called in medicine a vegetative state. My response to that is that you're not going to find something in the Bible clearly telling you if there are grounds for a divorce in such a case. I have outlined in my responses in those videos on divorce and remarriage that there are three primary grounds for divorce, and I'm not going to go back over that in this video. You're free to check those videos out on my YouTube channel. But the fact that there isn't anything specifically mentioned in the Bible about a scenario like that does not mean that there isn't any response that I can give. What I will say in response to a question like that is that to divorce a spouse in a case like that and then proceed to become remarried also can be construed as an abandonment of your marital vows. Although not every aspect of the marriage vows that we recite or respond to at a Christian marriage, although not every aspect of it is found clearly in the Bible, it has biblical precedent, so that when you took that vow and you said, in sickness and in health, in good times and in bad, until death do us part, you took a vow before God concerning your commitment to that person, whether that person is in good health or bad health, whether that person and the times that you all are enjoying are good times or bad times. That's a commitment. And to abandon your spouse in such a scenario, in such circumstances, sounds very selfish and lacking in compassion. And I don't want to come across also as lacking in understanding and compassion for a person who finds himself or herself in a marriage that such a thing happened in. I understand it's a very, very tough situation to be in, but God is sovereign, and that circumstance that your spouse would have found himself or herself in would not have taken God by surprise. God knows the end from the beginning. He knows the outcome from the inception. And there are so many lessons that God uses adversity to teach us that under other circumstances He would not have gotten our attention or been able to teach us those lessons unless we go through certain things. Each of us, we have what is called our crosses to bear, our challenges to endure and overcome, and God gives us grace to cope with it and to overcome those challenges in ways that brings glory, in ways that honor him and bring glory to him. And it is not an easy situation to be in, but no marriage is perfect. We all have challenges in our relationships, in our marriage. And my question to a person who's asking something like that is, what would you tell your spouse if by the grace of God that person comes out of that coma or vegetative state to find out you went ahead and divorced the person and got remarried? Or even before that, the person is in that state and you chose to divorce the person, get a divorce and moved on with your life. What do you tell, let's assume you have children, what do you tell your children as reasons why you have abandoned their mother in that condition or their father? Because sometimes we come up with arguments to justify something like that. And I thought about that, and I think a woman may say, well, we have children and I have to provide for myself and for the children. And I need to go out there and find me a partner who can be a provider for me. That might be an argument for a woman. Or a man may think, well, I have needs, emotional needs, sexual needs, and the need for companionship. I need someone to care for my family while I go out there and I have to continue working and providing. And those might be arguments that you may come up with to justify seeking a remarriage. But I don't know if I could, as an individual, my conscience may not allow me to just accept those type of arguments and just say I'm moving on with my life. Your spouse did not ask to find himself or herself in that condition. No one asked to, let's say, end up in a vehicular accident and then end up a paraplegic. Can't move, in totally motionless. The person did not ask to end up in that condition. The person did not ask, let's say, to end up in a mental asylum or to end up with a major stroke that left them losing their memory and their ability to communicate. This happened, it came upon the person, and this is a case of, as your vow says, in sickness and in health. Sickness come to the different people. There are different types of sicknesses affect different people. Not everybody enjoys a marriage all through their life. There's no major illness or any such thing. That if that happens, well, praise God. But if it should visit you, it should not be construed as grounds for you to part ways with that person, abandon your vows, abandon that person in that condition, and say you need to move on with your life for whatever the reason might be. I don't think the average person, your conscience would allow you to really live with that. God is sovereign, and in cases like that, we need to trust Him to provide the grace to help us to support our spouse through that. And I guess I can only interject here with speaking for myself. As a married person, I don't think my conscience would allow me, if, God forbid, my wife should find herself in that sort of scenario, maybe incapacitated, or whether it's physical, medical, mental, I don't think I could walk away from her, leaving her in that situation for somebody else to take care of her, not after all that she has done for me and been through for me and, well, with me also, and just pick myself up and move on and say, well, I need to move on with my life. I see it as a violation of the marital vow, and it's selfish, lacking in compassion, and it should not be something that should be encouraged as a ground for divorce and remarriage, because the person is now no longer, well, the person that you married, no longer able to respond or function. As long as that person is alive, you have a commitment to that person, and that the person needs you then more than ever. And it's a great demonstration of your love for that person that you did not abandon him or her in their season of greatest need, even if that season might be months or even years. Trust God to provide you with the grace to honor your marriage vows and stay committed to that person, not on those grounds of the person being incapacitated or in a vegetative state. You may say, what if the person is in a state where they could still speak and they give you permission and they say, you go ahead and get remarried? And so, well, that's a matter for your conscience. That's an individual choice. You need to deal with that and decide if you're going to accept that as permission to go ahead and become remarried. My name is Patrick Antoine. That's my response to that question, and I hope it brought a little bit of clarity, although I could not take you to the Bible. I don't know about you, you might be listening as another person who is hearing that question and you want to give your feedback, give your opinion. Feel free to give your comments and feedback. In case also you have another question that you may like for me to respond to, there's an email address up there. You can send that question to me and I'll try to provide an answer for you. Until the next time, this is Patrick Antoine saying, grace and peace be multiplied to you.